I try and tell myself that small steps, you eventually get there. So I reward my staff and even myself when I make small, what seem like incremental advances, because eventually I know that they all form pieces of a puzzle which eventually will help the patients.
I don't think it's right for any leader to assume that just because somebody has some slightly different views to your own that they're wrong and you're right. So I think understanding individuals in the first instance is priority. And you can only do that by asking questions, getting to know them, building trust. And you have to be authentic as a leader. You've got to be real. I think that comes across when you have normal conversations.
Mentoring is about leading, by example and taking time to spend it with people and showing an interest. I think it's the softer skills, emotional intelligence versus, IQ. And I think as a leader, you've got to take the time to spend with people, in particular those people that are important to the organisation. I mean, everyone's ultimately important, so you've got to invest in those people, not only time, training, all of that sort of thing. And I think it's important for a head of an organisation or the leaders of an organisation to live to those values and demonstrate they live to those values.
If I was to say what I think an effective leader is, I think effective leadership is about never giving up, to knowing that big things are possible, but also to recognising that you can't do it all on your own, that you have to be in teams of people who you trust, you work with, whether that's a team of staff, a team of volunteers, whether it's the support from your personal family and friends, that dreaming big and acting big also requires an enormous trusting and collaborative team.
It's really important as a leader to deal with ambiguity, and at the moment, with things shifting and changing, you have to be really adaptable. If you're not going to adapt, if you're not going to change, if you're not open to what's going on, you go out of business. And I think it's the percentage of people, I think that I saw a study recently where businesses go out of business because they miss something, because they're not looking, they're not adapting, they just want it to be the way it is. And that's just not a good idea. I think also there's a generosity of spirit that's required as a leader. You want people to be as good as you. You want them to rise to the standards. You want them to do well. You want them to feel good about what they're doing. So I think to encourage and support and acknowledge people, not just with money, but in a whole range of ways, is really important.
See, there's something in our culture as well that even socially, as soon as two friends start to get talking and somebody talks about they've got an issue of some sort, we immediately start to solve the problem. And even when that's done from a good heart, there's a push away in it. So we try, and it's hard because it's in the air that we breathe. We try to overcome all of that and to meet people and know that they're people to be met rather than problems to be solved initially. And we know too that when that happens, and you can't make it happen, but when it happens, people move towards health all under their own steam, and dramatically so.
I think, again, showing your staff or your colleagues that you have a personality which is approachable, I think is important. Also that you're not frightened to ask those tough questions, because they'll then aspire to be like you, and not give up. I think that's a true definition of a leader, that no matter what you're faced with, you'll find a way.
I remember asking a very famous general practitioner what leadership was. This doctor was quite passionate about the changes that he had introduced into general practice in Australia. And I said to him, "Bill, what's leadership?" And Bill said to me, "Ian, it's about teaching." Now, what he meant by teaching was this idea of helping people understand, helping people think through issues, not talking to them, but again, this idea of enabling, facilitating, working with, being partners with those people.
One of the things people have identified with me is that I'm really resilient from where I've come to where I am now and what I'm trying to achieve in the future. And if I look at other young people. And that's the one thing which I really do focus on, is our young Aboriginal people who are coming through their own social issues, be it at school, drugs and alcohol, education, health, whatever. I always say that it doesn't matter where you come from. If you look at this dumb bastard here, and I can get to where I am and overcome what I've overcome, then any person can do it. It's not that I'm a super brainwave or anything like that. It's just that I stuck with my vision, with my dreams. I believed that there would be an outcome which was positive. I knew I was here for some reason. I believe every person is here for some reason. To lose hope is a really sad thing. My hope is my journey, by having walked it, not just talked it, will give other people, I suppose, the challenge to rise to their own abilities, their own visions and their own aspirations.